All right. Well, I'll kick it off then, Angelica. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today to share your stories and insights. Um, I had mentioned earlier that one of our previous guests, Mayette, had spoken super highly of you. So I'm really glad that I reached out and that she recommended you to be on the show as well. And she's your daughter-in-law, correct?
Yes, and I'm her mentor too.
Oh, fantastic. Well, she did a fantastic job, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your stories today because she talked about some of the things that I think you had actually shown her. And a big part of what we're doing in this work is trying to learn about people's stories and, how they've gotten to where they are today.
Mhm.
Because I think for a lot of the listeners, whether they're other professionals or job seekers, they're learning a ton from just the way different people have approached their career journey. So it would be
Yeah,
great to hear, a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are today.
absolutely. It's been a long journey.
I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I came to Canada in 2003
Okay.
and I had to learn the language.
Oh,
So I can relate very well to all the challenges the job seekers have.
yes.
Newcomers, like, with communication, navigating the system, understanding the labor market as well. So it wasn't easy for me. And at that point, I wasn't really shown how much it was available to job seekers. I ended up going back to school because I didn't know what to do. So I went back to do the same business administration that I had completed in my country because that was one mistake I made. I was listening to everyone, right? I wasn't really going to the main sources of the information. And that put me, I would say at that point, didn't put me behind because it was meant to be that way, right? So I went to college, and through college, I had an amazing employment counselor there. And she connected me with VPI, the company that I've been working for almost 20 years.
Wow.
I wasn't even looking for this specific job, like, in business administration. I was just looking for an opportunity in accounting because that was my passion when I was in university back home in Colombia. So I really wanted to be an accountant, but I didn't have enough time to make my dream come true. So, but at least I wanted to start as an accounting clerk because I was really strong on numbers and I enjoyed that part of my studies, and I thought it was gonna be a good start point for me.
Yeah.
But with the support from my employment counselors and everyone, so they helped me believe in my strengths, my skills. I was very driven. I have been always very passionate about work and about helping people, right? And that's something that I was really lucky to find people to support me that way. So this person happened to know someone at VPI who was looking for an admin assistant at that point for one of the location in Burlington at that point.
Okay.
And I said, okay, it sounds like a big job because I don't have the experience, but I would love to at least have an opportunity to interview for the position.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I was living in Mississauga at that point, and second mistake, I got the interview and I overcommitted,
Oh,
right? So they called me like at around 10 in the morning, and they said, would you be able to be here by noon? We would love to meet with you for the interview. And I said yes, but I wasn't driving at that point. I didn't have a ride. My kids were in school, so all the challenges possible. So I said, you know what, I can do it. I went to my son's schools. I spoke to them. I make some arrangements for for pickups and stuff, and then went to Burlington for the interview by go bus. I got lost.
oh,
It was really difficult for me. I was frustrated, and I was like, I should have been more open and honest, right? These are my challenges, and maybe that's one of the things out of excitement, mistakes that we can make that can put us down, like, in front of the employer. So I ended up going there. I found the place. I was already 45 minutes late for my interview, but I decided because I'm brave and motivated. I
Brave.
know.
Sure.
And I said, the worst can happen today is that I don't get the interview and I will learn my lesson. And next time I'm going to be more prepared. I'm going to allow myself more time for preparation for those things. Because it is okay to say, maybe this time doesn't work for me or this day. Not everything has to be an immediate yes. And that was one of the things that I learned through my lesson. So I got the interview and there was a real good connection with the interviewer. And because of my background and my second language and also having a good pool of clients, Spanish speaking clients, so they saw the potential.
Yes.
And they gave me an opportunity, right? So it was a lot of challenges, Imran. You wouldn't believe, even from the immigration status, because at that point, I still have a 900 SIN number, right? And I didn't know the difference because I didn't know better, right? So it's like, it's just a social insurance number, it's information, but I didn't know all the challenges that are actually attached to not having a permanent status in the country,
Right. You
right?
should know. Yeah.
I think I was very lucky because the employer gave me a great opportunity and they gave me a conditioned employment offer. And I understand condition to being able to become a permanent resident, right? So, and I was able to do that in time. But I learned how difficult it was. And I made a point to be a voice and a representation to immigrants in my community as well, because everybody needed an opportunity as well. I was promoting people from my network to my employer, people who I knew were going to be great in their jobs and just needed an opportunity. And that's exactly what I did with Mayed, right?
Yeah.
Mayed had so many different jobs and, great set of skills, motivation, but most importantly, she cares about her job, right? When you see that someone cares, then you don't mind going above and beyond for them, right? So that was my journey, initial journey. And because I had already experienced my skills and everything, I always wanted to be a manager. I was a manager back home. So I was always in a natural way, I was putting myself out with my employer. Okay. I was offering my services, additional support for whatever they needed, right? I said, I just want you to know that I'm here, and that's very important to do.
Yeah.
Don't wait for the opportunities, right? So just make it happen for yourself, because I did that for myself. I started answering the phones 20 years ago. Today, I'm the director of this company. VPI Employment Services is a very a strong employment service provider in the community. It's well known, it's reputable.
Very.
I feel very honored to be part of this organization because they believed in my skills, and that's how we do it with our clients. So we believe in our clients. So whenever we have openings available, we look into our caseloads first, right? Because if we don't take an opportunity to really recognize their, strengths and potential, then we're not doing our job. So there is a lot of clients that are working or have worked in this company and have been able to have that opportunity that we all needed at some point. So it's been great. So at some point I was, the admin assistant. Then I went to be a career specialist to provide employment services and support to my clients. I did job development for some time as well, because that's one of my passions. The connection with the employers is something that I really enjoy.
Ah.
I did also management for one of the branches in York, for Richmond Hill. And then from there, I was promoted to be a regional manager for West, East, and it's been changing. Then I was managing youth programs as well. And then I became the another management role
Like,
until I became a director. All of these positions, Imran, have been offered to me because when you have consistency and a strong work ethic, the employer will realize, like, that is an investment in your company as well. So my advice to employers as well is to take the time not only to be busy at work, right? Is to also recognize your talents and to make an effort to retain your good people. It is very difficult for me to lose my staff, right? So when they're going to other companies, because then I have to look into how am I training and retaining my talent here? And it's very competitive. So that's one of the things that I really want to get better on, making sure that we are able to make the connection with everyone, the client, our staff and employers and everybody working together. But we understand, like, we have been overcoming challenges after the pandemic.
yeah,
And that's a reality, right? So it's a new labor market landscape that everybody's getting used to. And of course, yeah, there is a lot of opportunities and support out there that people need to take advantage of. It is always easier to go with an organization like VPI, like Employment Services in Ontario, to be able to find that opportunity, right? So you need to have a value proposition for your clients to also not so much get them into your service, but being able to make a difference in their lives, right? There is
yes,
a commitment to this. It's not easy work, I can tell you,
definitely not.
because there is a lot of information and people are better informed nowadays. So information is coming from everywhere, right? Now podcasts, it's websites, it's newspaper, it's your news feed, social media. Like, we're bombarded with information all the time. But at the same time, as an employer, I feel that we are more exposed and we have to really live up to our commitment to customer service and to support the job seekers. I feel a great responsibility um, to be managing my staff and to be also supporting the job seekers in the community and our employers. It's our economy, right?
Absolutely.
I just want to have in every single community what I would like for my family to have, for my grandchildren, for my children, for everyone, right? So it is very important for me that we don't take this for granted. Everybody has to work hard and go the extra mile, right? Because we do have a beautiful country. I didn't grow up in this, right? So, and I know that is hard work. We have a beautiful country and we have to look after that. And that's my motivation in them. My motivation is just Canada. So I'm very passionate about employment services, supporting the economy, supporting job seekers, newcomers, because everybody needs to work together. We're in this together. There's
Uh,
no way, like, that we're gonna be successful working in silos and not communicating with each other, not sharing the information, not supporting our youth, everybody from the schools. And we're working with the schools too, because we feel that the message needs to start from there.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So
No,
it's been great. We continue to learn.
of course.
Yeah, it's something that we want to do. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, Angelica. That's an incredible, first of all, it's an incredible journey to go from being the administrative assistant to the role you're in now as the executive director. That is one journey, but you went on a literal journey getting on that go bus to actually try and get to the interview. And I think it's that sort of drive that people notice, right? Yeah, you ended up being 45 minutes late that day, but you were there and and putting
Yeah.
yourself out there and showing that bravery. I think you're right. I think that's what gets people noticed throughout their career. And to your point, it's what people notice and it's why they probably reached out to you time and time again to ask you to move into different roles. So I think it's a really helpful reminder for folks out there that if you are doing your best, there are people around you who will notice. And it doesn't have to be too much more complicated than that. if you're doing good work and you're in a good place, like you mentioned, you
Yeah,
had, you were lucky, and I've been lucky as well to be around people who support you and mentor you. Um, Great things can happen. And I think part of that is taking advantage of
absolutely.
opportunities to, yeah, to be part of programs like the ones VPI offers. Of course, an extremely well-known center program. So um, for folks who are new to Canada today, um, what are your recommendations for, first sort of steps? There's so much going on. As I'm starting to learn,
Mhm.
it's not just, okay, I need to find a job. There's a lot that they need to adjust to. And is VPI a place that they can come to just,
Absolutely. It's probably one of the best options newcomers have. Because we're not just connecting the clients with employment, right? So we are making sure that clients are job ready before they move into an opportunity. And for some people, it might take a couple of years. We don't know, right? So it starts with the communication. It starts with, just finding a suitable occupational goal. But we support with everything, life stabilization, skills enhancement, and anything in between. It's ongoing support for them to feel confident, right? And ready to move to an opportunity. Because everything that we do right now, Emran, is about job retention. It's not so much about reporting an outcome, right, of employment. Employment doesn't really matter if we are not providing sustainability.
right?
Right? So, and that's the point right now. Once a client joins the service, we don't know how long it's going to take us to support the client because even when they find employment, we will support for another year to make sure that they are going to be able to stay employed. And we support both employer and client, not only the client, because both need support. Employers are not trained to retain their talent, so they also need the support. So
So,
I strongly suggest that people, when they come to Canada, explore the services, explore the information, get as much information as possible from reliable sources. So you don't have to go to back to school to, study the same thing, right? Just go through someone reliable sources of information, government services. There is tons of financial support available for people as well. Not everything has to be done on their pocket, right?
yes.
So there is plenty of opportunity right now for people on social assistance. The farthest removed from the labor market is the job seeker getting the most support, right? So those would be newcomers, it could be people with disability, youth with higher needs, indigenous people, right? So all of them are our priority because we know that we need more one-on-one support with them.
So,
And financial support is coming along the way for them. We also have great resources. Our database of employers keeps growing, and we're doing great things here.
oh,
So absolutely, feel free to share my information with anyone who's looking for employment. I'll be more than happy to, speak to everyone again if you want me to be part of any event. So just count on me.
I definitely will take you up on that, Angelica, and we'll make sure to put a link to your to VPI as well as your contact for folks watching this episode that are excited and ready and looking for help. And that's a really unique offering that your program has to support job seekers a year after employment, because that's an entirely different phase, right? The job seeking phase is one set of skills, and then staying on the job and continuing to be successful is a totally different um, you know, skill set to have to learn. So what are some of the things you're seeing or you're hearing about that help, a new hire stay employed or continue to be successful once they find a role? What are some of the skills that you recommend focusing on?
Soft skills.
Ah,
Understanding the workplace, the protocols, right? So understanding that attendance is very important, communication, right? So before you focus on the technical skills, you have to show that you're trainable, and that you are able to learn, that you're able to stay committed, that we can count on you as a new team member.
That is super helpful to know, and clarifying as well for people, that ability to see that you are trainable makes a big difference, because every company does do things a little differently, right? So if you come in a bit too, well, this is the only way I know how to do it, then you're not going to be able to adapt to the way that company does it. So that's very helpful to know. And in the role you have with working, with the employers too, are you starting to notice demand for any specific roles or industries that we can make job seekers aware of? Is there a demand coming from a specific group of
Oh,
employers?
yes.
What are you seeing?
It depends on the area as well, right? So we have jobs in high demand. I think anything in information technology is high right now. But also we also need a lot of people in the trades,
Right.
right? So apprenticeship is one of the options that the client should be exploring, right? Those are the great opportunities the clients don't know about, right? And when people think about apprenticeship, it's not so much those in, like construction only or, the
Okay.
other ones, the industrial ones,
Yeah.
is also in service, customer service, and, different type of opportunities are available. There is a long list of opportunities for clients to learn about, right?
Yeah,
Becoming
that's
an arborist, people wouldn't even imagine how much they can actually do with this amazing opportunity, right?
oh,
So you can make it a business.
absolutely. That's a great point to explore an entirely different kind of set of opportunities. And it's funny you mentioned art like an arborist, because I'm looking to get a tree taken care of in my lawn, and it is not cheap to do. So it's
No, it's
very
not.
not at
Mhm.
all. And it takes a high skill set, because there's power lines, and there's this entire need for that unique skill. And if you're someone, trying to figure out what's right for you, I think that's a great reminder to branch out a little, especially, if something like what happened to you happens, where you came with that accounting background and
Yeah.
then came here and had to kind of start from the beginning. You kind of have this chance to also pick something new if you want, something that resonates.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think in this new labor market, we have to have a different set of skills. It's more like life skills that you need to have. You cannot be relying on only one thing, right? So I always, encourage people to continue learning and growing. Don't stop just because you have a job, right? Doesn't mean that it is it, right? You
Right.
have to continue learning, growing, being inquisitive, get to know yourself and your skills, right? So the job you do is something that you need to like, right? Because otherwise you're gonna have a struggle, right? You are not going to be able to retain it, and there's gonna be challenges, and you don't want that. So when you spend the time really understanding yourself, your set of skills and your goals, then you are more successful in your job, right?
Yeah.
So some of the things that we always recommend the job seekers, and is know yourself first, right? So before you start looking for any job, really understand your interests, your skills, your values as well, right? So that's very important to align in the job search. You also have to build a strong network, right? So you cannot only be looking for a job from the job boards, right? So just behind the screen, put yourself out, talk to your neighbors. So anyone, in your network can help you find employment. It could be your network, it could be a family member, it could be a former coworker, right? Information is available to job seekers. These type of programs are very successful for the clients to be able to find great opportunities, right? So, and also really understand the importance of tailoring your self-marketing tools, right?
Right. Like a LinkedIn or that kind of.
You really need to know what's put on those materials, right? So that you're gonna be sending to employers, because it's It's an opportunity. It's not gonna get you the job. It's just going to be an opportunity for you to have a proper interview with an employer. You're not, if you put too much information, then the employer is gonna lose interest, right? You need to have the right amount and the right wording for the position that you're looking for. So because that's one of the things that we see very often, that people want to put everything on those 2 or 3 pages, right? So and it becomes very expensive because realistically, you only have a few seconds to get the employer's attention to be able to have an opportunity to have a proper discussion, right?
Yeah,
And it's extremely important for them to be careful with those sales marketing tools.
it's a great reminder. And I see that happen in interviews as well. You know, an interview will start off, please tell me about yourself. But I see job seekers make that mistake. They'll try to say everything all in that one answer, because they think they need to get it all out there. Kind of like you're saying, trying to cram everything into those 2 pages. And I'm not sure why that happens. I think it's because, it's such a hard opportunity to get to interview that you don't want to miss anything. But what's your guidance around that? Because I know you're right, and I'd like to help people avoid doing that.
Absolutely. And, that brings me to the point of the interview. The preparation for the interview is equally important, right? Because there seems to be a focus on the candidate only. And sometimes, the job seekers don't really do proper research of the companies and the employers. I love when people know about VPI, when I'm interviewing and they can speak to what we do, our values, our, I don't know, time in service and those things. I feel that they have done their job too, because it's about the benefit, connecting the benefit, right? So what is that you can bring to the table to help the company as well? Is the benefit is for both. So it's not only about your strengths, it's about the company and aligning those two.
That's a great reminder because I think that is always front and center in a job seeker's mind. And I have been guilty of that as well. I really want this job. I really want to get hired. I really want to do this. And it's all about, what I or the job seeker wants. And you forget sometimes that you're talking to another person and they're looking for help and support. So it's a great reminder, Angelica, just that if you focus a little less on yourself and more on doing research and figuring out what you can provide as a service, who wouldn't appreciate
Absolutely.
that? Yeah,
Yeah, and I think it's also to the interview is more like a conversation. Don't make it so dry, right? About
right.
those, how to answer those questions. So just be honest, be open, share your experiences, more like a conversation and focus on the value. If you really know the company and have spent the time doing the research, then you're not gonna have an issue connecting those two, right? So
Yeah,
it's very important that job seekers do a lot of research before they go to the interview, and it takes time, right? So we have reviews available, we have companies' websites, we have the social media. It's really, really good to see when people have done their part.
yeah, and that's what makes it easier to have a conversation, right? Is that you know this group, these what these people are trying to do, and then it feels a lot less robotic that you're just answering the question, and then it doesn't feel like you can make a connection. Um,
No, exactly, yes. And be ready for the uncomfortable questions, right?
for sure.
About conflict, and it doesn't have to be perfect because there is no perfection, we know, in the workplace. So but we wanna hear how they can actually handle the pressure and how they're going to react to some situations.
Yeah, that's a great reminder as well. And the interview itself is a bit of that, if an example, right? It's a high pressure scenario, and based on how you act there, might give them some insight into what you'll do in another stressful scenario. So that preparation, I think, will definitely pay off. And I know we're at the time I've asked you for today, Angelica. So these always go quicker than I expect, and I feel like I could continue to ask you questions
Agree.
for another hour. But I hope we can have you back on to continue this conversation in the future, hear more of your insights. But thank you so much for the time today, for
No,
sharing.
thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been great. I really appreciate the opportunity to get the word out and to promote our company with, through you, your organization, and reaching out to the job seekers is very important for us too. Okay?
Absolutely. Yeah. We encourage anyone looking for this type of support, reach out to VPI. They're an amazing organization. And now you're kind of hearing firsthand from Angelica even more details about these services. So we'll absolutely put a link in there, Angelica, and encourage people to reach out. And yeah, thank you again for your time today. Are there any kind of final thoughts, advice you would like to share before we close off the episode today?
I think it's the message is for both employers and job seekers. We both both of them are supported by VPI, their clients, right? We also want to connect with more community partners that that are supporting our common client because we know there is a lot of opportunity there as well. So sharing the information, coming together and supporting our communities is what we have to do better.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Angelica. It's a great reminder. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and then we get to talk again soon.
Thank you, Imran. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Nice to
You
Okay.
as well.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.